Hey everyone, how's it going? Mike here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Vespiquen deck. There's been a lot of hype for this deck just because it is a grass type Pokemon, and we had seen a similar Pokemon do very well in the Regionals Championship not too long ago. So that was the Flareon, which had performed really well. So anyways, the Vespiquen has a very similar attack to the Team Plasma Flareon that we saw in the Plasma Free set, which will of course be rotating very shortly. So Vespiquen has two different attacks. One of them is the Intelligence Gathering, which we probably really won't be making use of at all, but it could be useful in case we have a dead hand, or if we have absolutely no cards in our hand, then that is a possible attack that we could maybe make use of. But we're probably instead just going to be focusing on making use of that B Revenge attack, which allows us to hit for an initial 20 damage and an additional 10 more damage for each Pokemon in our discard pile. So that damage can really start to stack up with the more and more Pokemon that we have in our discard pile. So our whole goal in our deck is just to try and get as many Pokemon in our discard pile as possible. However, in some cases, it's actually not necessary for us to get a whole lot of Pokemon in our discard pile, just because we have 3 unique evolutions that can actually change the typing of the Vespiquen. So one of those Pokemon is going to be the Flareon. It has the Flare effect, which allows each of our Stage 1 Pokemon, Vespiquen does meet those criteria, to be a Fire type Pokemon in addition to its existing type. So that means that Vespiquen could be both a Grass type and a Fire type. And then of course we have the Vaporeon, which allows the Vespiquen to be a Water type as well. So the Aqua effect is quite nice. And then lastly we have why is it showing that Flareon again? Okay, so the Jolteon, which has the Electric effect, which allows each of our Stage 1 Pokemon in play to be a Lightning type Pokemon in addition to its existing type. So that Vespiquen can be a total of 4 different types, which is pretty powerful, especially if we are facing an opponent that has a weakness to any one of these given types. Now, if we are facing an opponent that doesn't have any weaknesses to either Lightning, Fire, or Water type Pokemons, then what we'll instead be doing is we'll simply be battle compressing these Pokemon in our discard pile. So we are running a total of 4 copies of the Battle Compressor. Really helps trim down our deck and send those Pokemon in our discard pile. So that's essentially what we'll be doing with them. Again, if we can't really take advantage of really any of the types that we have going on over here. So we're running a total of 4 copies of the Battle Compressor in our deck. We're also running a total of 4 copies of the Unknown. It has the Farewell Letter, which allows us to essentially lay down in our bench, and then we can go right ahead and discard it, and that will allow us to draw onto an additional card. Now, of course, there's some natural synergy there, just with respects to that Vespiquen. That Unknown could just allow us to draw onto some additional cards, and of course, fill up our discard pile with some essentially discarded Pokemon. So Unknown works quite well. We are running a total of 4 copies of that in our deck, and the very last Pokemon in our deck, guys, is going to be 2 copies of the Shaman EX with the Sky Return attack, and of course, more importantly, the setup ability. Now, ideally, we'd like to avoid bringing out the Shaman EX into play, just because it can be a huge liability, and really a large part of our deck's strength, I would say, comes from the fact that the prize exchange is often going to be in our favor, because we have some really low HP Pokemon for the most part. I mean, most of them have 90 HP or less, with Shaman EX pretty much being the only exception. So if possible, it's better to send that Shaman EX in our discard pile. However, in certain situations, we may just need it, so they are there just for a little bit of additional draw support. Speaking of the Eeveelutions, guys, we actually are running 4 copies of the Eevee, the 50 HP one with the Energy Evolution ability. So this is such that whenever we attach a basic energy card from our hand onto this Pokemon, we can go right ahead and look for one of the respective Eeveelutions that is of the same energy type as the energy card that we laid down on that Eevee. So we're actually running a total of 3 copies of the different types of energy cards with respects to each of the respective evolutions. So we are running 1 copy of the Water energy card, 1 copy of the Lightning energy card, and 1 copy of the Fire energy card. It could be important just in case we'd like to bring out that evolution right away, so that can sort of minimize any sort of potential knockouts to our Eevees, which again are really low HP, and Mr. Mime has essentially been rotated out from the XY standard set, so unfortunately we can't include it in our deck. So it's actually kind of nice to run one of each of these types of energy cards, and of course 4 double colorless energies, just because we want our Vespiquen to hit for lots and lots of damage. As our Stadium card, we'll be running the brand new Forest of Giant Plants Stadium card that came with the Ancient Origins set. So this allows each player's grass type Pokemon to be able to evolve during the very first turn that we laid them down at play. So this is going to work tremendously well with respects to allowing us to bring out those Vespiquens nice and early, because again, those Combees can be a huge liability just because they have very low HP. We also have a ton of draw supporter cards in our deck, guys, so we are running a total of 3 copies of the Trainer's Mail. This will allow us to look through our deck and then grab the important cards that we need. So Trainer's Mail is a really handy card. We are running a total of 3 copies of that. We're also running a total of 4 copies of the Acrobike. This allows us to simultaneously get rid of hopefully Pokemon and then send them in our discard pile, and at the same time allows us to draw onto some slightly more useful cards. So we're running a total of 4 copies of the Acrobike. Again, it's just going to allow us to blaze through our entire deck. Now, speaking of blazing through our entire deck, that is a potential way in which we may lose the game. So we have to be careful, because now that the N is no longer at play, I actually decided that Ace Trainer probably wasn't really worth including. So we're actually running a total of 4 copies of the Sycamore. Again, just to be mindful, guys, you definitely don't want to deck out. Maybe including a Shauna or an Ace Trainer might be worth it, but again, I feel like it's just extremely unreliable, and Ace Trainer may actually force us to deck out as well, just because it forces us to always draw onto 6 cards while the opponent shuffles their deck and then only draws onto 3 cards. So I felt like Ace Trainer probably wouldn't work too well in this deck, so I've simply decided to stick with the Sycamores and the Lysander as our respective supporters in our deck. We're also running a total of 4 copies of the VS Seeker as well, just because in case we don't get any of our supporters that we need, we can go and battle compress them and then just VS Seeker them out. We're also running a total of 3 copies of the Level Ball. Works really well with this deck, but unfortunately we do have the Shaman EX as well, so just to keep him into consideration as well, I have decided to include a single copy of the Ultra Ball. Now you guys are probably thinking, well, just 1 Ultra Ball, is that really going to be enough? And I'm going to say yes, because just remember, we have a lot of Acrobikes, we have a lot of Trainer's Mail, so we have a lot of resources just to try and get the cards that we need. And again, I wanted to keep Shaman EX as sort of a last resource Pokemon that we have to force ourselves to bring out onto that bench, because again, it can just be a huge liability, so just do keep that in mind. And I feel like those are pretty much the entire deck. So we're also running a single copy of the Sacred Ash just to allow us to recycle some of those Vespiquens and then bring them back all over again as one of our main attackers. Could also be nice just to bring out, bring back some of those Eeveelutions as well, in case it does give us that typing advantage, just to allow us to hit for massive amounts of damage. And yeah, so that is pretty much it, guys. We're also running a total of 2 copies of the Muscle Band to increase the damage output of that Vespiquen. I would have loved to include the Silver Bangle instead, but again, it is going to get rotated out. So with that, guys, let's go and find ourselves an opponent and see what this bad boy is capable of. So I actually have not tested out the Vespiquen deck just yet, so I've been making some slight modifications here and there, so I'm just looking as forward to this as you guys potentially are. So let's see what type of deck we'll be facing this time around, and let's hope that we can absolutely crush our opponent. I'm actually seeing quite a few different types of Pokemon in our opponent's deck, so I'm sure we'll be able to take advantage of some of those different typings. So actually don't think I fixed my settings. Yeah, so I didn't. Let me actually go and do that right now. So alright, so just gonna apply those changes. And okay, everything is muted. Alright, so let's start off by bringing that Eevee, which is going to be our active Pokemon. We already have the Acrobike. I'm probably gonna Sycamore as well, get that Flareon in our discard pile. We are seeing the Tepig as well, so that Vaporeon could be a little bit useful, and we're going to see the Professor's Letter, so that is potentially going to allow that the Druddigon to attack during the next turn if our opponent manages to grab a double colorless energy as well. So it looks like we're going to be seeing some fire energy cards, so I'm going to go and take a guess that our opponent is probably mainly running a deck composed of fire type Pokemon, but again, I could absolutely be wrong. Maybe it's just for the opponent to make use of the Emboar, which they plan on eventually bringing out. So we're going to be seeing another Professor's Letter. Again, I saw quite a few different types of Pokemon, so I think our opponent's probably going to look for some water energy cards as well. Again, I could be absolutely wrong. Okay, so Darkness Energy and a Grass type energy. Alright, that is not usually a good sign of the opponent's skill, just because you don't want to run all that many different types of energy cards. But then again, in our deck we are running a total of 4 different types of energy cards, so I guess there certainly are unique types of decks that bypass those restrictions, but just generally speaking, it's not exactly the greatest. So let's start off by bringing out that Combi. I'm gonna go and use that Acrobike as well, so I have the VS Seeker, the Sycamore. Unfortunately, I'm probably gonna send both of them in our discard pile, so I guess I'm just gonna go and look for that Sycamore temporarily. Let's go and use that level ball. I think I would like to bring out an additional Combi onto our bench, so let's go and grab that out. Okay, so it actually looks like we have one of our Combis prized, but that's okay. Shouldn't be too big of an issue for the most part. Let's go and use that Sycamore, get some of our Pokemon into that discard pile, bring out the Unknown. I'm going to go and attach the Double Colorless Energy to that Combi, bring out an additional Combi. Let's go and use that Acro Bike. I think I'm going to go and look for that Water Energy card. I mean, we do have another Battle Compressor in our hand, and we already have two Pokemon in our discard pile, so I think we should be able to start attacking relatively soon. Let's go and get rid of that Unknown, and looks like we have a Shaman EX, so that could definitely be useful, but I'm going to hold off on bringing it out for the time being, and that is going to be how we end the turn. I'm actually a little surprised that our opponent didn't decide to start powering up that Drudigan. I mean, maybe he knows what our deck is all about, but I highly doubt it. We're gonna see a Grass Energy card getting latched on to that Snivy as well. Okay, so we have a Flareon, which could be nice, but it does have 2 retreat costs, so I definitely do want to retreat that Eevee. So I'm gonna go and attach a Water Energy card to it actually. Yeah, and I'm actually not gonna look for the additional Flareon in our hand. No, so let's actually hold off on that. Let's actually go, well then, but then again, I actually don't have the guarantee that the Combi will be coming out just yet. Okay, so I think we're definitely going to be needing that Shaman EX, so let's actually go and get a couple of our Eeveelutions into that discard pile. So that is going to be one Jolteon. Let's go and get an Unknown in our discard pile as well. And I'm going to hold off on that Vaporeon because I think we may just need to make use of its ability. And let's get rid of a Flareon as well. Alright, so Shaman EX, let's see what it can do for us. And okay, so we have the Forest of Giant Plants, but we don't have any of our Vespiquens in our hand just yet, and there's absolutely no way we can actually bring any of them out. So you know what, guys, I think I'm actually going to bring out that Vaporeon. We may actually be attacking with it a little bit as well, just until we do get our setup going. So unfortunately, that's going to have to be how we end the turn. Pretty unfortunate. I may just Lysander out that Tepig and get rid of it during our next turn, because our Vaporeon actually hits for a decent amount of damage. I mean 70 damage, and we're going to be able to get it going during our second turn, so that's not too bad. Alright, let's go and attach a Double Colorless Energy card onto that Vaporeon. I think we can fit one more Eevee in there, but then again, we could also, yeah, you know what, actually let's go and bring out an Eevee, and let's go and simply get rid of the remaining Unknowns in our deck. So that is one Unknown. And that is a second Unknown, and I think I had actually gotten rid of the other one. Yeah, so that is going to be a Jolteon as well. Let's go and send all of those Pokemon into that discard pile. I'm going to go and actually knock out that Tepig. I do want to draw onto a prize card. Let's go and use Hydro Splash, hitting that Tepig for 140 damage, and that will allow us to draw onto an additional Eevee. I'll probably be getting rid of that eventually though, and then just sending it into our own discard pile. We're probably going to see that Drudigan make its appearance again. Yeah, because I feel like the opponent wants to take advantage of the rough skin ability and just put some damage counters onto that Vaporeon whenever we do decide to attack the opponent, which is actually a pretty decent ability. I mean, it's pretty much a built-in Rocky Helmet on that Drudigan, but unfortunately it only has 100 HP, and its attack is not really all that great, so that's why we don't really see a whole lot of usage of that Drudigan. However, it could actually be pretty useful in a Mega Tyranitar EX deck. Unfortunately, it is part of the Flash Fire set, so it, the Legendary Treasure set, so it will be getting rotated out. So let me take a look at how many Pokemon we have in our discard pile. So 3, 7, 8, 9, yeah, so we'll definitely be able to hit for more than enough damage. I think now is the time for that Vaporeon to retreat, so let's actually go and get rid of that Double Colorless Energy, and then we can go and bring out that Vespiquen. I'm going to go and attach a Lightning Energy card onto one of our Combis as well. Let's go and hit for 110 damage, I believe. Yeah, there we go. 10 damage more than we needed to knock out that Drudigan. And it looks like we also have a Muscle Band now, so that is kind of nice. This may actually be game, guys, unless we do see our opponent bringing out some additional benched Pokemon. But I definitely do think we'll be looking for an additional opponent. So we're going to see that Tierno coming into play. So I think there's a pretty high likelihood that our opponent will be able to bring out some additional Pokemon. Okay, we're going to be seeing that Eeveelutions. Again, I held off on the Forest of Giant Plants. Otherwise, our opponent may have just taken advantage of it and brought out potentially that Serperior, which may just have been out of our reach, out of our one-hit KO reach. I'm not actually sure if it has 140 HP or 130 HP. Again, I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully our Vespiquen is able to survive that attack, and yes, looks like it will be able to survive. Let's go and attach that Muscle Band and go for that final knockout. So be Revenge, 130 damage, and that is going to be our victory. So Let's go and find ourselves an additional opponent. Hopefully one that puts up a bit more of a challenge. Again, I do want to apologize for the fact that we're facing relatively inexperienced players. Again, just because of course I am using the 12 Blue Dolphins account. So yeah, so that is definitely part of the reasoning. And yeah, so we'll be finding ourselves an additional opponent, guys. We're getting actually quite close to unlocking all of the rewards. That's definitely kind of nice as well. And let's see what type of deck we'll be getting matched up against this time. Looks like it's going to be a fire deck and a normal type of deck as well. So I'll definitely be getting rid of, again, any of our non-water type evolution. So we'll probably be holding on to that Vaporeon. Actually seems to be quite popular, quite helpful right now actually, sorry, just because I feel like all these fire type decks are built specifically to counter our evolution type decks. So I'm going to start off with the unknowns. I'll definitely be holding off on that Shaman EX for the time being, so let's go and bring out that unknown, and yeah, let's draw as many cards as we possibly can, anything that could help us out get a better start. Okay, so let's go and bring out that Combi, guys. We do see that Tepig. I think I'm actually going to use that Sycamore, so I'm going to go and attach the double colors energy card onto that Combi. Actually, let's go and use that Farewell Letter once, and okay, nothing particularly helpful. Unfortunately, I have two Vespiquens in my hand, but I think getting rid of them would actually probably be the best option right now. So let's go and use that Sycamore, guys. Hope that we don't regret this. And okay, let's go and bring out two Eevees. I do have the Ultra Ball, which can help trim our hand down a little bit as well. I'm going to hold off on the Level Ball, may just use it to look for the Vespiquen, and that's going to have to be how we end the turn. It's quite unfortunate that the unknown can't make use of that Farewell Letter if it happens to be our active Pokemon, so that is just something to keep in mind. And it looks like that Tepig is going to have a fire energy card attached to it. Again, we saw a lot of fire type Pokemon in our opponent's deck, so maybe using that Level Ball for the Vaporeon could be a pretty good option as well. I do have the double colors energy, so I can definitely start attacking soon. We're going to be seeing a Moltres EX and a Reshiram, so Moltres EX is going to make its appearance, and that Reshiram as well. But it is unfortunate, of course, that we have the type disadvantage against our opponent's fire type Pokemon with respects to those Vespiquens. And awesome, looks like we're gonna get the Sacred Ash. So I'm actually gonna go and use that to bring the Vespiquen. Yeah, let's just go and grab onto two Vespiquens. The rest of our Pokemon, let's keep them in our discard pile just to increase the total. Oh, okay, so it looks like I actually have to shuffle all five in. Oh, alright, I thought I could have. Oh, no, sorry, never mind. Looks like I don't. It wasn't. Yeah, yes, actually, I think it. Yeah, so it actually didn't allow me to. Make use of that Sacred Ash. Yeah, so I'm unfortunately gonna have to shuffle 5 Pokemon back into our deck, but that's okay. We'll be able to discard them all over again. So let's go and bring those out. I guess we'll grab onto that Jolteon as well. So that's kind of unfortunate, but that's okay. I think we can definitely live with that. I'm gonna go and attach that double colors energy onto that unknown because I will be retreating it. Let's go and use that Level Ball to look for that Vespiquen. And I think I'm gonna go and Sycamore the remainder of our cards. So let's Sycamore, and okay, so we have 2 more unknowns. So I'll slowly be getting rid of them, and just to get some more Pokemon into that discard pile. Let's go and bring out an additional unknown, Farewell Letter, get some new cards. And okay, so now we have the Vaporeon as well. So only 4 Pokemon, but still more than enough damage to knock out the opponent's Pokemon. So let's go and retreat that unknown to bring out that Vespiquen. I'm gonna go and bring out the Vaporeon to allow the Vespiquen to be a water type, and I guess a Jolteon as well. Really, the main reason that I'm bringing it out is because it has absolutely no retreat cost. So it's just kind of nice to include in our bench. Let's go and use that Level Ball to look for a Combi as well, which will be laying down into our bench. And then let's go and use Be Revenge for 120 damage again, because we do have the type advantage now thanks to that Vaporeon with the Aqua effect being in our bench. So we're going to be seeing that Reshiram. I'll definitely have to bring out at least one more of our Pokemon into that discard pile. Reshiram can only hit us for 40 damage though. So we'll definitely be seeing that Vespiquen perform the knockout onto the opponent's Reshiram. So I'll definitely be getting rid of both the Jolteon and the Flareon during our next turn. I will be seekering out for that Professor Sycamore. And awesome, looks like we're going to get an additional Vespiquen. I do have the unknown as well. Yeah, let's actually go and get rid of that. Draw into an additional card. Let's go and use that Level Ball to look for the Combi, which will go and lay down into our bench. So as you guys can see, this deck seems to be performing really well. Yeah, I'm gonna go and look for a Sycamore anyway, so let's go and look for the Forest of Giant Plants. Let's go and use that VS Seeker for that Sycamore. Again, just keep in mind that we absolutely do not want to deck out. Do I want to bring out a Flareon? yeah, I guess I kind of want to have the option of just having all three of our evolutions into our into our bench. It just looks kind of nice. And alright, let's go and use Vespiquen one more time. Be Revenge for 160 damage. So we're just 20 HP short from being able, well, sorry, 10 damage short from being able to perform a one-hit knockout on the opponent's Moltres CX. But we do have that Muscle Band in our hand, and there's absolutely a lot of different ways that we can get more of our Pokemon into that discard pile. So I'm really not worried. I mean, these evolutions definitely seem to be paying off, giving us those additional different types. But again, if we don't actually see any opponents, so for example, if we see them running a Psychic type deck, then the best route to take with respects to these evolutions is just to send them into our discard pile, because at that point they just become a liability. So let's go and attach that Muscle Band and a Water Energy card onto our bench. Sorry, into our bench, the Vespiquen is actually who I wanted to attach it to. Let's go and use Be Revenge, 200 damage, and that is 2 more prize cards for us. Yeah, so it looks like this was a very, very one-sided game. We should be able to win during our next turn, unless we see Muscle Band getting latched on to that Reshiram and possibly an end. No, it looks like we're going to see the opponent quitting the game. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure at this point you guys have a very, very good understanding of what this deck is all about. But let's just go and find ourselves one final opponent and showcase to them our respective decks. So let's see what type of deck we're going to be facing this time around. Okay, so a Grass, Lightning, and a normal type. Not really sure what we're actually going to be seeing. Maybe a Mega Manetric EX deck, but again, we're facing some relatively low-ranked opponents, so I'm not really sure what to expect at all. So we're just seeing and waiting to see what our opponent is going to be bringing out as their active Pokemon, and of course their bench Pokemon as well. I'm not really sure if I want to start off with the Combi as our active Pokemon. I think it's a little bit safer to actually bring out the Eevee, so I think that is actually what I'm going to go and do, guys. I don't want our Combis getting knocked out prematurely. And again, I wasn't actually aware of the fact that Sacred Ash forces me to shuffle 5 of our discarded Pokemon back into our deck, so I'll definitely have to be a little bit more careful when using it in the future. But again, it's usually not too big of an issue because we have a whole lot of resources to repeatedly get those Pokemon into our discard pile, so it's absolutely not an overbearingly annoying sort of issue that we have to deal with. So let's go and lay down a Combi onto our bench as well. And it looks like we're going to be seeing a Genesect and a Virizion as well. Okay, so this was, I was actually thinking we were going to see the Ancient Origins Virizion, but looks like instead it's going to be the one with the Leaf Wallop attack. And a Grass Energy card is how our opponent's going to end their turn. Okay, so, yeah, so I'm going to have to Sycamore. I could lay down the Shaymin EX for some additional draw support, but I'm not really sure if that's going to work out all that well. So you know what, I'm going to start off with the Unknown. Maybe it's going to allow us to grab onto something a little bit more useful, like the Forest of Giant Plants. Farewell Letter, looks like it's going to be an additional Combi. You know what, I'm actually going to go and shuffle that Unknown back into our deck, and I'm going to go and lay down that Shaymin EX. I'd love to look for something useful. Awesome, looks like we're actually going to get the Forest of Giant Plants. Let's go and bring out that first Combi. I'm going to go and use a Level Ball to look out for an additional Vespiquen. Let's go and bring that out as well. Acrobike, Jolteon, yeah, I don't really think we're going to be making use of that Jolteon really a whole lot, so let's go and look for an additional Eevee. Lay that down into our bench, Sycamore for some new cards in our hand. Gonna hold off that bench space for an additional Unknown, possibly a Shaymin EX as well. Let's go and attach a Lightning Energy card onto that Vespiquen for the time being, and that is going to be how we end the turn. So we have the Flareon in our hand, and that is going to allow our Pokemon to be the Fire type as well, so we should be able to absolutely blaze through all of our opponent's Grass type Pokemon for the most part. We also have a single Pokemon in our discard pile right now, but we can definitely get a whole lot more through the usage of the Battle Compressor, for example. So that Genesect can't really hurt us at all right now, can only make use of that Call for Family. Jet Impact can potentially hit us for a lot of damage, but again, the opponent does need at least one more Grass Energy card. So we're going to be seeing that Call for Family. Again, our opponent could actually take advantage of the Forest of Giant Plants as well, so it could actually sort of backfire for us. And doesn't look like I can retreat or anything at all, so I'm going to go and bring out the Flareon for the time being. And I'm actually going to go and Battle Compress some of our Pokemon and send them into that discard pile. So let's go and look for one Unknown. We're not really going to need the Vaporeon, and I think we can stick with one more Flareon for now. Okay, so we have only one Shaman EX. That might actually come in handy a little bit later. So let's go and get rid of a Jolteon as well. Gonna hold off on the second battle compressor for now, and that is gonna be how we end the turn. Again, I'm always very mindful to ensure that we don't actually deck ourselves out. So I'm actually not gonna send more Pokemon than we need into that discard pile because again, it could sort of backfire against us. So looks like we may just being the Sceptile that Genesect is finally gonna be able to attack, hitting us for 100 damage. Definitely more than enough to knock out that Eevee. So let's go and temporarily bring out the Vespiquen. It has absolutely no retreat cost, so I can easily then retreat it to bring out one of our benched Pokemon. And it looks like we're going to top deck for the double colors energy. So that is kind of nice. We have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pokemon, more than enough to knock out that Genesect again because we do have that Flareon. I'm going to go and lay down an additional Eevee onto our bench. Let's go and use Be Revenge for 140 damage, and that's going to allow us to draw 3 prize cards. So those Shaman EXs can definitely perform big knockouts on us as well, especially as we draw more and more prize cards. But they're also a huge liability, and again, as I was mentioning to you guys earlier, where we really have the advantage with respects to that Vespiquen deck is the fact that we always take more prize cards than we give out usually. We only lose a single prize card per knockout while we take 2 per EX knockout. So it looks like we're going to be seeing an additional Genesect. That Virizion using the double draw attack. Okay, so we actually see the Shaman EX with the setup ability on the opponent's end as well. So that's actually 3 different, well, a total of 3 Shaman EXs, 2 different types. So, I mean, I think our opponent actually has some pretty good resources, but they may just not be putting it to proper use for the most part. So, let's see what our opponent decides to do. I'm going to hold off on the Sycamore again. I don't want to blaze through our deck too quickly, and as long as we're repeatedly getting those big knockouts, I'm absolutely fine with the way that the game is going. So do I have a... No, I actually don't have a Lysander. I could Battle Compressor a Lysander and then get rid of one of those Shaman EXs if I wanted to. But you know what, I'm going to wait and see who our opponent actually attaches a Grass Energy card to before I actually do perform that Lysander. Because again, the Shaman EX does need a total of 2 energy cards to be able to make use of that Revenge Blast attack. So I can absolutely take that and use it to my advantage. So as you guys can see, Battle Compressor works exceptionally well in combination with that VS Seeker. Just allows us to constantly get the cards that we need. So I'll probably be attaching that double colors energy onto that Vespiquen. And okay, looks like the opponent is going to use that escape rope. Let's go and bring out our bench Vespiquen. Again, no retreat cost, so that escape rope is probably not going to help out our opponent to a great extent. He could of course make use of that Sky Return to bring back that Shaman EX into his hand. Maybe our opponent just wants to get rid of it to free up a little bit of bench space. Again, I'm not entirely sure. We're going to see a Hard Charm getting attached to that Shaman EX, so it looks like our opponent is starting to get ready to make use of that Revenge Blast attack. Yeah, so Shaman EX is indeed going to use the Sky Return attack and return to the opponent's hand. Looks like we're going to be seeing the N. Alright, I actually wasn't expecting that, but that's okay, I'm not really worried. We do have a Combi in our hand as well, and a Sycamore, so I don't think we really should be all that worried for the most part. We'll definitely be getting rid of that Shaman EX at this point. So let's go and get rid of 2 cards and look for a Vespiquen. Let's go and lay down that Combi on their bench and evolve it into the Vespiquen right away. Sycamore for a brand new hand, a whole lot of cards. I think at this point it's good to get rid of a couple of the unknowns. I don't really want to draw into them because we don't have the bench space for them, and I think I'm gonna hold off on the remainder of our cards for now. Let's go and retreat to bring out this Vespiquen, which has the double colors energy. Be Revenge for 220 damage, allowing us to draw onto a prize card. Looks like it's gonna be a Vaporeon. Pretty useless. We'll probably be sending it into our discard pile eventually. Again, I always have the option of using the Battle Compressor and then the VS Seeker to Lysander out one of the opponent's Pokemon. Okay, looks like we're going to be seeing a Lysander on the opponent's end. They're going to be bringing out our Flareon, so we're going to need an energy card just to be able to retreat that Flareon and bring out one of our bench Pokemon. So we've only attached a total of 2 energy cards. We still have quite a few more in our deck, so I feel like the odds of us drawing onto an energy card should be relatively quite high. So Groval's going to hit us for 20 damage. Again, not an impressive amount by any means. It looks like we're going to top deck the double colors energy once again, so we're getting quite lucky. But again, we had a whole ton of useful cards in our hand as well, so let's go and retreat. Again, none of those Shaman EXs have any energy cards attached to them just yet, so I'm going to hold off on the Battle Compressor and the VS Seeker. Let's go and use Be Revenge, 220 damage one more time, and that will allow us to draw our, potentially our second second last prize card essentially, because in case we do get a double, okay, it looks like our opponent is instead going to concede the game. Yeah, so I feel like you guys have a very, very good understanding of what this deck is capable of and just how powerful and how quickly we are able to set it up. So I really, really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also be sure to check out those annotations for my previous video and a random video as well if you're feeling a little lucky. So that is going to be it. Again, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.